Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya. This is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we've got Ant Bedson, who's from Grafters Supergroups. Hello, Ant. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking.
No problem at all.
And thank you very, very much for coming in to talk about Grafters Supergroups, but also the property and construction industry as a whole. So before we go anywhere, just explain a little bit. What is Grafters?
Grafters Supergroups are fortnightly networking groups for the property construction industry, so that you can be a supplier, a contractor, and we also encourage the integral support services, because even though we are basically in property construction, every property and construction business needs an accountant, needs an insurance broker, needs training, needs health and safety. So all them services are welcome to come to a Grafters Supergroup. All meetings are fortnightly. I currently run 5 groups in Stoke.
Wow.
Five groups in total, there. So I've got 2 in Stoke, 1 in Maxfield, 1 in Stafford, and 1 in Crewe, and soon to be launching 1 in Chester. But the beauty of it is it's purely property construction, so we have no independent financial advisors, nobody that makes cakes, no personal trainers. So it's all about people coming together in the property construction industry, sharing ideas, building relationships and working together.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, just elaborating a bit from there then as well. Networking, we met through networking many, many years ago now. We've had a lot of people who've been into Business Spotlight, but a lot of businesses who have talked about networking in different ways. But would you say, what's the difference between networking for the likes you've just mentioned there, somebody who's selling cakes, or a fitness instructor, to networking for the property and construction industry? What is the difference?
All networking works, in my opinion, and I've done all sorts of networking. I was a BDM for an HVAC company for 12 years, and I did all sorts of networking, and networking works. Whatever it is, it works. You get out of networking what you put in. Yep. If you don't put the time and effort in, you won't get anything out of it. So all networking works. But for me, and when I was working for an HVAC company, it was finding something that worked for us. So it's finding what works for you and your business. And I went to networking events where there'd be 30 people in the room, and I could probably work with 1, maybe 2, because there'd be IFAs in there, there'd be the personal trainers, there'd be the cake makers. Yeah. So we sat down and said, look, we're looking for something that's purely property construction, because that's what we do. That's our professionalism. Yeah. Anyway, the guy that Paul Kilroy that set up Grafters Supergroups, I met Paul before he started Grafters, and we had a round of golf and we were talking about this. And he said, bear with me. That's what I'm looking to do. Anyway, Paul set up Grafters Supergroups in 2019 with 1 meeting at the Colony in Wilmslow. That went on to 3 groups around Manchester. Then the dreaded COVID hit. So the groups went from 3 face-to-face to all online. So it went from 3 groups virtually to 15 groups overnight. Wow. So there was Manchester, Birmingham, London, Liverpool. They were everywhere because it was online. Everybody was at home, so nobody could go out. Everybody had to stay in. So I went from doing 40,000 miles a year to sat at home having 5, 6, 7 meetings a day through Grafters Supergroups and networking. But the beauty with the Grafters Supergroups is that people that are in property construction can work with virtually everybody in the room. So everybody in that room is in the industry, so they can all be a part of a building of a house or a hotel, from the foundations up to the roof and all the constituent parts within it. So it's all relevant, where other networking groups, that I'm not knocking networking, as I said previously, I support all networking groups, it's very random. So you could probably work with 1 or 2 people in a room of 30, where in a Grafters group, 30 people in the room, you could probably work with 25, 26 of them. And everybody wants your services, because Grafters builds a support network where everybody can refer business to each other. Yeah. So we have the architects, we have the quantity surveyors, we have the electricians, we have the plasterers, we have the roofers. So everybody in there can work together. And just a little story on a few years ago when I was employed, we were pricing a job for a guy out of Manchester and London. And when we went on to site to start the job, every contractor on that job was a Grafters member. Wow. And we ended up doing 3 or 4 of them same projects. It was a build of a climbing gym inside a disused warehouse. Yeah. And the client went on to have 3 or 4 around London. And the same people on every job. And every contractors, as I say, were Grafters members.
Yeah, like you say, just going into it a bit more, networking, and whether it's attending an event or starting off those relationships by attending a networking meeting, you can not only build your own reputation, but you start to collaborate. You start, like you say, you can pass business to each other there. And it sounds like it's a very niche group, a niche networking in what you do, obviously just focused on the property and construction industry. But would you say, are there any actually, any barriers or that are faced by, businesses in that industry when they are thinking about going to a networking event?
Yeah, there's always barriers, and probably the biggest barriers for the smaller SMEs, I suppose, and even the sole traders. Sole traders find it difficult because they'll come to a meeting because they're looking for work. They'll build relationships, get to know people, build a know, like, and trust, start getting business. Then they get too busy to come to the meetings. So that's a barrier for them. And then within Grafter supergroups as well, it's one seat per category. So once you've got your electrician, you've got your plasterer, and they join the group, and they lock that seat out for 12 months. So if you've got another plasterer that wants to come into the same group, they can't join for 12 months because the seat's locked out.
Okay.
So hence why I'm doing 5-6 groups within half an hour, 40, 50 minutes to Stoke, really, to build that up. So if anybody can't network in a particular group, I can offer them a place in another group if that seat is vacant.
And do you have, outside of the networking then, actually, Grafter supergroups, obviously it sounds like it's quite a busy, fruitful, meeting as well that goes on fortnightly for businesses, not just locally, but you've already mentioned potentially branching out as well to different areas. But is there other partnerships and where you've linked in with perhaps other organisations which have helped to benefit each other?
Yeah, we do a golf networking as well, construction clubhouse. So we get people out on the golf course. When I joined the HVAC company 12 years ago, first day I got there, the MD gave me a set of golf clubs. He says, I'll go learn and play golf because I believe golf business is done on the golf course. So that started that. So I started golf networking. Obviously, since I set up on my own, that's gone back a bit. But now with a colleague through Grafters, we're now doing a construction clubhouse, which is a golfing property construction networking group. So that's getting people out on the golf course and networking for at least 4 hours with somebody. Yeah. So we're also into that now. We're doing a driving range as well for the people who are not so confident to go out onto the golf course but want to. So we're doing a driving range and having a pro for an hour where he'll give people tips and a little bit of advice so they get the confidence, and hopefully next year they can get out on the golf course and start networking that way. So
a bit more like a social kind of way, but business is still
involved.
Yeah,
the socials, I do social lunches. I've started doing those. Social events. The Grafters as a whole do their own social events, so people can go to national group or area groups. We do awards, so we have awards once a year in Manchester. There's going to be one in Birmingham as well this year. So as a whole, the group's massive. Currently 27 groups around the UK. Several more coming on board in September, October, so we'll be up to probably 32 by then, and the plan is for 100 by the end of 2027. So there's a lot of activity within Grafter supergroups, and there's a lot of need, especially in this area in Stoke-on-Trent, hence why I've now got 2 groups in the same building at the Chamber of Commerce.
So just going to ask you to elaborate on that one as well, please, Ant, if you can, because when obviously this business spotlight is for predominantly, Staffordshire businesses, local businesses, and why, again, we've talked about many times on Business Spotlight how collaborations are so important, but why are you saying it's so important within this area then to have a networking group purely for property and construction?
Well, I started, the group was called Staffordshire, and it was online. So people were dialing in from everywhere. But as we started coming out of COVID and people started coming back out again, people were wanting more face-to-face. So after losing members because it was online, I sort of had to sit down and look at myself and say, look, you can't keep this online, you've got to do something. So anyway, cut a long story short on that, we spoke to the Chamber, we got into the Chamber. So
Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce.
Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce. Yep. So we now call that the Stoke Group. From Staffordshire, we called it Stoke. So that's every other Wednesday. It was this morning, actually. Every other Wednesday at the Chamber of Commerce. But the relationship I've got now with the Chamber of Commerce is they absolutely love having a Grafters group in the building, and every other Wednesday now their staff park on the hotel round the back and leave the car park free at the front for Grafters members, which is absolutely perfect. I'd have been happy for us to park around there, but they're insistent that they did that, so that's absolutely fantastic for us. But the beauty of it is the relationship now we've built with the Chamber of Commerce is that over a period of time they have forums. and they have the hospitality forum, for example, engineering forum. And during COVID, they had a property construction forum that dissolved.
Okay.
But they've never set it back up again. So after several conversations with Chris Plant, the Stoke Grafters supergroups are now the property construction forum for Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce. So off the back of that, every member that joins Stoke Grafters supergroups can get a 20% discount to join the Chamber of Commerce. But anybody that joins the Chamber of Commerce that shows a bias towards property construction industry is introduced to myself, and I'll have a chat with them, conversation, see where they want to go, where they want to network. And the feedback I got was most of these people want to network in Stoke, but the seats were locked out in Stoke, the first Stoke group. So that pushed me down the line of setting up a second Stoke group, which I've called Festival Park. So that's Festival Park Grafters Super Group, which is every other Friday at the Chamber of Commerce. Yep. So that's now building up. This Friday will be the third meeting for that. And we're up to 10, 12 members in that group already. Stoke 1 group is 32 members. So whilst it's got 32 members, some of the key seats are still vacant. We still need a plasterer in there. We still need a roofer. So people like that are still important. And all the trades really are important to us because they do well out of the groups. But when they become a member of the Stoke group, they get access to the whole Grafters network as well. So they can visit any other group around the country where their seat is vacant in.
Yeah, and just talking there and going back to the Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce as well, what you've described there is not just grafters having their own network within themselves, but also linking in with another organisation on a bigger scale, which has then opened up other doors, but perhaps some of your members or even yourselves who are running grafters supergroups now being part of that relationship with something like the Staffordshire Chambers of Commerce could also help to have an input maybe on decision making down the line or different things like that with how the trades and the property and construction industry actually works, not just locally but elsewhere. Is that how it could tend to lead? Most
definitely, because as you know, the Chamber of Commerce offers so many different services to their members that if our members joined the Chamber of Commerce, that'll only benefit them even more. And the Chamber of Commerce encourage people to come in, help out, come in with decisions and move things forward. And we're exactly the same with grafters. We're always open for conversations. We're always open to speak to people. We're always open to ideas. And we'll take them on board and have a look at them. Not necessarily always run with them, but we'll certainly look at them. We'll never turn anything away. We're always up for an opportunity or something to do, an opportunity to do something different, I suppose.
Yeah, and just going to ask you as well, Ant, obviously, I know you're part of Grafters supergroups. You're not working physically in the industry yourself, in property and construction at the moment, but all the experience you've had over the years, whether it's working for different companies and this, that and the other, I don't know if you, from your experience and from all these businesses that you come across now, can you see how the property and construction industry has perhaps changed over the last few years?
Yeah, it's changed massively. And I think, especially locally, there was a lot of issues locally with a lot of contractors coming in from outside and working in Stoke-on-Trent. And this is something that I've looked at for a long time, really. I'm being concerned about because people want to work close to home. And it seems that a lot of the property construction industry, everybody travels. And I don't think there's a need for all that travelling. And I think the stronger collaborations, the stronger relationships we build close to home, i.e. in the Grafters networking groups, the more people will work locally and the less people have to travel. And obviously it's got a massive impact on the carbon footprint as well, because people don't want me sitting on the motorway every day and every morning, every night, Monday to Friday. They want me working from home, 10, 15 minutes, start work and day's work and go home again. And I think the Grafters supergroups locally can help that and help people to work local and stay local.
And surely then, I'm just going to ask you as well, you must receive some feedback from some of the members who, wherever trade they're in, who perhaps will feed that back to you and say what a benefit it has been because you have got those closer networks and collaborations. Yeah,
most definitely. And we had one this morning in the meeting this morning, and it was a fact that the guy's that busy with his work now, he's going through Grafters, that he doesn't want any referrals, but he wants to give work out. And that's how it works as well. It isn't, people don't have to be taking or giving all the time. It's about a level playing field. It's about evening it out. And this guy's openly said, look, I don't want any more referrals at the minute. I'm too busy, but I'm happy to share with you what I've got. Yeah. So he's winning work that's enough for him but then he can also introduce other Grafters members in, and they can work alongside him on his projects.
And perhaps help, whether it's a startup, perhaps, or, a sole trader to grow their business.
Yeah, exactly. And start employing staff and even apprentices, for example. We have an apprenticeship company in the group that does really well. So there's always somebody out there for an apprenticeship. And there's always businesses that can take the apprentices on, especially when there's funding out there for them. Sometimes it doesn't cost too much to employ somebody, find the right person, and that can be your next manager, your next owner. You just never know where that person's going to go, really. Yeah,
it sounds like, from what I'm getting from you, Ant, as well, is talking about networking with the property and construction industry. And I know we can get this from other networks, but it sounds like there is a honed in, should I say, way of perhaps raising awareness about what possibilities are out there for each other within that industry, but also educating.
Yeah, definitely. And education's important because, again, it's all about working together. It's all about being in collaboration. It's about building relationships, and people buy from people. People have always bought from people, and people will still buy from people, and that's why we encourage what we do, and especially locally here in Stoke-on-Trent. That's why we have the social events. That's why we get together like we do, is to build them relationships, strengthen them relationships, and people then start socialising together. And then you don't start after asking for work and asking for meetings, because they're just naturally there, because you then become friends. So friends work with friends, and it works.
And thank you so much for coming on Business Spotlight. I'm sure you might be back in the future. You never know. You might want to bring one of your members with you, or even a member from the Chambers of Commerce who can come in and we can talk about that double collaboration.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks you.
Thanks for having me.
That's Ant Bedson there from Grafters Supergroups here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.